Good morning and welcome to Unity in Harlem for our Sunday worship service, March 16th, 2025 at 10 a.m. Our daily word for the day is quietness. Affirmation is in quietness, I'm refreshed and renewed. Today we're very honored to have Reverend Ogun Holder will be speaking today, our special speaker today. Thereafter, we're going to proceed with our program. We have our opening wonderful song by Marie. Marie, please join us as she bring us into our worship service. And thereafter, we will move on to our Unity of Harlem affirmation.
Thank you so much, Quasi Thomas. Wow, it's so great to see everybody here today. Let's start with this wonderful song that it's a medley of a song that I found in Liberia when I was there, and then also a song by Michael Gott. I am, I am. We're going to start with I am, and then go to the other song, The Lion of Judah. All right. Let's sing. Everybody, you can find it in your programs. If you'd like to sing, you can. Stand up if you want to. Come on, let's do it. We're going to the Caribbean kind of here today. My hummingbird. Yeah. I am. I am. I am. I am love. I am. I am. I am love. Love of God. The love of God is in my life. I am love. Love of God. The love of God is in my life. I am the Lion of Judah has broken every chain. He's given us power. Hallelujah, day by day. The Lion of Judah has broken every chain. He's given us power. Hallelujah, day by day. Hallelujah, by day. Hallelujah, day by day. I am. I am. I am. I am peace. Peace. I am. I am. I am peace. Peace of God. The peace of God is in my life. I am peace. The peace of God is in my life. I am peace. The Lion of Judah. The Lion of Judah has broken every chain. He's given us power. Hallelujah, day by day. The Lion of Judah has broken every chain. She's given us power. Hallelujah, day by day. Hallelujah, day by day. Hallelujah, day by day. I am. I am blessed. I am. I am. I am blessed. Gifts of God. The gifts of God are in my life. I am blessed. How you feel that today? The gifts of God are in my life. I am blessed. Oh, you just revel in that feeling of just being blessed and loved and peaceful and every obstacle removed from your love and connection in your life. All right. I think it's time to bring back to go forward into our affirmation.
Isaiah 55, verse 11 says, "So shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose, and shall succeed in the thing for which I sent it." Unity affirmations speak to the power of our words, and particularly the power of I am. And so we say this affirmation every Sunday to affirm our divine nature. The words are on the screen, and I invite you to say them with me. I am an abundant, radiating center of God's love and light for peace, healing, and inner truth for all.
Uh, start to prepare us for our meditation. And I think this is a favorite song for some of us. um, Be at rest. It's not in your program. It's we decided to take our poetic license and sing "Be at Rest." We found the background. Be at rest. Be at rest. Be at rest. Be at rest once more. Oh, my soul, for the Lord has been good. Be at rest. Be at rest. Be at rest. Be at rest once more. Oh, my soul. Oh, my soul, be at rest once more. For the Lord has been good to you. Be at rest. Be at rest once more. Oh, my soul, for the Lord has been good. Be at rest. Be at rest. Be at rest once more. Oh, my soul, be at rest once more. For the Lord has been good to you. Lord, have you delivered my soul from death? My eyes from tears. Have delivered my feet from stumbling. Be at rest. Be at rest once more. Oh, my soul, for the Lord has been good. Be at rest. Be at rest once more. My soul, be at rest once more. For the Lord has been good to you. And let us rest in the peace that passes all understanding in Christ. Be at rest as we begin to breathe and center ourselves. And feel gratitude. So we welcome Mr. Kwesi Thomas to lead our meditation.
As we take in to let our mind, body, and souls be at rest, let's take a moment to acknowledge the space amongst us. Noticing the sounds of vibration that goes through our bodies. Let's close our eyes and concentrate and focus on our breathing. Allow yourself to be present at this moment. Bringing a gentleness to your breath, your breathing. Feel the air runs through your body. As we take the deep breath in, let's release all anxiety. As we take another deep breath in, let's release all stress and anxiety and heartache for the week. As the air runs through our lungs, through our chest, just let's focus on peace. Imagine yourself being relaxed, becoming more and more at ease with every breath you take. Let go of worry and distractions. No more distractions in our lives. As we continue to breathe deep, imagine great piece of light over our heads. As the light resonates through our body, from oneness with God. Be at peace. Let's go to our special and quiet space. Being at rest with God and the universe. Being one. Let's, as we allow our thoughts to flow one at a time, a special time and place, and a safe place. As you feel breath go down your legs, down to your feet, just feel the light resonating, empowering you, uplifting you, allowing peace, joy, and love to flow through your body. As you feel that you're into light, just let us take a moment and embrace it in silence and allow the universe and God to hug us as we go into silence. Feel the light extending, gently spread through your body, filling every cell, every part of you. Let the soft tenderness, of stress no more, anxiety no more. You are safe. As you hear the words, I am at peace. I am at peace. I am loved. As you sit in a peaceful life, remember that you are calm, that you are grounded, peace through you in every breath. Allow those words of affirmation and be in your heart and your mind. And the truth and the words of faith and peace be your salvation as you enter to next week. As you prepare to come back to our consciousness, our presence, remember, I am calm. I am peace. I am love. As you take one final deep breath, on 7, take another deep breath. Release all love. Let us be blessed. Ashe.
Good morning. I'm glad to see everyone here, and I'm glad to know that you are all listening on the internet. This morning, Unity in Harlem is overjoyed in receiving a minister, an ordained minister, an ordained Unity minister to speak to us today. And I'm going to read a short bio. His name is Reverend Ogun Holder. Reverend Ogun Holder is the co-founder of Project Sanctus, an online community with a mission to create a world of love, justice, and liberation for all. And he is also the founder of Ahimsa Liberation Coaching, which provides spiritual coaching, grief coaching, relationship coaching, and amends coaching. He is an ordained minister, as I said, since 2011, an award-winning author, and he holds certification in spiritual counseling, grief and bereavement counseling, and in Enneagram. His many titles over the years include speaker, teacher, author, podcaster, blogger, musician, parent, social media consultant, and WEPSS certified Enneagram instructor, and a self-proclaimed geek. He is one of the hosts of Pub Theology Live, a weekly podcast on life, culture, faith, meaning, and identity. He is also the co-host of With Love, Justice for All, a podcast about embodiment of anti-racism, about embodied anti-racism, I apologize, dismantling oppression, fostering liberation, and the special challenges that arise as spiritual seekers, whom we are. And so, with no further ado, I'd like to present to you Reverend Ogun Holder. Thank you, Reverend Ogun Holder.
Okay. Good morning, Unity. All right. It's good to see you all here. It's good to be here with you, standing with you in person, and those watching online. Let me start by clearing up my name. You've heard it pronounced Ogun. You've heard it pronounced Ogun. I will answer to both. I'll answer to Hey Rev. I watched last week's service that you did here. You had just a brilliant deep dive into the women warriors of the Dahomey. Ogun is a name that comes from the Dahomey tradition, from the Yoruba tradition. It is the god of iron and the god of war as well. And many people don't know this, but also the god of rum and rum making, which makes sense for me. I am originally from Barbados, the birthplace of rum. So you see, it's all coming together. It's all coming together. The story goes that my father, he saw the name in a book and instantly fell in love with it and assigned it to me. But he didn't have the pronunciation guide, so he went with the English, I guess, for lack of a better word, bastardization of the word, and I was known as Ogun. But the correct pronunciation is Ogun or Oguan. And so, like I said, I'll answer to anything. I prefer not Reverend Holder. That seems so formal, and but it's in many ways kind of puts me a little bit on a pedestal, and I don't want to be on a pedestal. I'm scared of heights, and we're all on this journey together, right? So I'm here to learn from you, as you are here to learn from me, and we are in this together. So that's how we can talk. One of the interesting things about my name also is that the name Ogun stands for justice as well. And if you're familiar with the Enneagram, which is a sort of personality assessment way to figure out who you are, it's numbers based. I won't go into the details. That's another talk for another time. But in summary, I'm an Enneagram 9 with a wing 8, which simply means I'm a justice-oriented peacemaker. So between the name that was given to me and the personality I have assumed in the world, this is who I am here to be, a justice-oriented peacemaker. And it took me 45 of my 50 years of life to embrace that truth about me. I resisted it for a while because it felt too big. It felt like too much work. It felt like little old me from Barbados was not equipped to be this. But as we know, if we are grounded in the spiritual truth of who we are, there's nothing we cannot do. There's nothing we cannot achieve, as long as we answer the call to who we are here to be. And I believe that is who we are here to be, all of us. We are here to be spiritually grounded, spiritually centered, justice-oriented peacemakers. This month is March. Anyone knows what's special about this month? Aside from Bob's birthday, in addition to Bob's birthday. Yes. It is Women's History Month and Bob's birthday. Just get them in the correct order here. And Leroy's too. Okay. All right. Sorry, gentlemen, but Women's History Month taking precedent. And I have mixed feelings about Women's History Month. It's the same mixed feelings I have about Black History Month, about Pride Month. I call them dangerous necessities. Okay. Necessary because it's important that we take the time to emphasize that what I like to call the white heteropatriarchy, that the straight white male experience is not the only reality in our lives. It's never been. It has never been the only reality, but we live in a time where some would want to make it that. Okay, so it's important to highlight that, over the existence of humanity, we've had all these different peoples, ways of being that are equally as important. But it's also dangerous because what happens is we have a lot of people doing a lot of performative things. Companies hanging up pride flags, companies talking about the women in history that have made important strides. But then what do we do for the other 11 months of the year? Right? So every month should be Women's History Month, should be Pride Month, should be Black History and Black Present Month. I don't know why we always focusing on the history. What's happening with the present, right? We are currently making history. That is our present, all of us. So that's why I call them dangerous necessities. But I have learned over the last few years that if we truly want to heal the world, if we want to get to that place of love, justice, equity, and liberation for us all, it's a simple yet not easy thing we need to do, which is simply let women lead. Let women lead. Any of y'all here watch The Daily Show? Yes, Daily Show. That's where I get my news now because mainstream media is a little too much to take on right now. So I need to laugh with my news, otherwise I'm just not gonna make it. So the last permanent host of The Daily Show, Trevor Noah, when he was leaving his very last show, this is what he said. He said, "Do yourself a favor. If you truly want to know what to do or how to do it, or maybe the best way or the most equitable way, talk to Black women. Because unlike everybody else, Black women can't afford to F around and find out. Talk to Black women." I say talk to all women. All women. When I say all women, I mean cisgender women, transgender women, queer women, women of all races and ethnicities, women of all orientations, all abilities. We have to step back from this established patriarchy that we have and let women lead. And I know that, again, the men who just loudly proclaim this month is their birthday, happy birthday to you. And you're worth celebrating. Let me be clear about that. You're worth celebrating. But this is a time, not just this month, but every month, all of our lifetimes now, where we have to admit and realize that we need to do it differently. We need to do life in this world differently. Otherwise, we are continuing down a path that we're not going to come back from. I believe that the solution, the cure to heal the world and all it is encountering right now is that we all need to become spiritually centered, anti-racist, anti-capitalist feminists. Let me say that again, spiritually centered, anti-racist, anti-capitalist feminists. When we can embrace walking in the world in that way, I believe that we will shift. We will shift in such a way that we will begin to experience only what we dared to imagine. We will begin to experience true liberation and freedom. One of the things that the powers that be, systems of oppression, the oppressors, the colonizers, one of the first things that they do is suppress our imagination. Because I believe imagination is the first step to abolition, is the first step to freedom. Because we can't dismantle systems unless we begin to imagine what comes afterwards. And the problem is, for many of us, we can't imagine outside of the context that we've always known. But this is why I love Unity's and Unity's teachings. How many of y'all are familiar with the 12 powers in Unity? Yeah. Imagination is one of those powers. Imagination is a divine and innate power, ability of who we are. We can't help but imagine. And we have learned and been programmed to suppress that imagination. How many of y'all, when you were kids and you were sitting either in school or you're sitting at home and you're just looking out the window, and all of a sudden an adult comes up and says, "What you doing? Stop that daydreaming." Yeah, that was my life too. Stop the daydreaming. We've inherited that idea of suppressing the imagination. But imagination, we can't help but imagine. Like I said, is one of our innate divine powers. We can't help but imagine. And imagination is that first step, that springboard to creating a reality other than what we are in. I like to think of imagination as creative time traveling, because it's through imagination that we can only begin to envision and embody a different experience. And when I say envision and embody, many of us, when we talk about imagination, we just think about what we see in our mind's eye, but we have to embody it. We have to, think about, how is this gonna feel? How is it gonna smell? How is it gonna taste? I don't know about y'all, but my perfect future has to have jerk seasoning in it, right? But we imagine things and then we go, "Oh yeah, that's never gonna happen." That's part of that programming that we've got from living decades, centuries in a place of oppression. But the great women leaders across time have been the great imaginators of Imagineers. I'm going to steal a term from Walt Disney. Imagineers, combining imagination and engineering. Let us imagine it, let us see it, and then let us build it, create it, and make it happen. We're going to Imagineer it. So from the days of abolitionists like Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman and Sarah Parker and Frances Harper, through the civil rights era, we got Coretta Scott King, Angela Davis, Ruby Bridges, to this day and age, people like Adrienne Marie Brown and Laverne Cox and Tarana Burke and Roxane Gay. These are all powerful Black women who were Imagineers. And they have led the way for us to follow. When we look back through history, Indigenous communities have always elevated the women in their circles. There have been Indigenous communities throughout history who, instead of living in a place of patriarchy, they lived in matriarchy. And when I say matriarchy, I just don't mean, this how we have things set up in our world now. And instead of just having men be in charge, we just have women be in charge. No, matriarchy is a whole different framework. It is a framework that literally means in the beginning, mothers. In the beginning, mothers. In a matriarchy, there's no hierarchy, there's no domination. Instead of a pyramid of hierarchy and people scrambling to try and get to the top, which is what we have now, is what a patriarchy is a hierarchical system. Envision instead a circle where women, especially mothers, are at the center, and everyone works collectively to meet each other's needs. Take a moment to imagine that. And why mothers, you ask? Because if there's anyone who understands how to pay close attention and meet the needs of someone else, it's a mother. So imagine what it would be like to live in a world where there's no longer this hierarchy and the struggling and the striving, but a community collective, both local and global, where we meet each other's needs and we give deference to mothers. I struggle with that. I'll be honest with you. I struggle with that because I don't even know what that might feel like. But this is what the power of imagination brings to us. And this is why our unity teachings, I believe, are the perfect the perfect platform to help equip us. There's a philosopher I've been reading recently, Nergis Debar, and she says when we shift from patriarchy to matriarchy, we will transform our focus from exploitation to regeneration, from greed to reciprocity, from individualism to community, and from dominance to love. Let me say that again. We will transform from exploitation to regeneration, from greed to reciprocity, from individualism to community, and from dominance to love. I've been going around telling people community is what's going to save us. All communities, small communities, large communities, blended communities. Community is what will save us, especially at this time now where the energy here in this country is separation and domination. Community is what brings us back to what's important, and that's meeting each other's needs. We can't do it by ourselves. The biggest lie we've been told is the lie of American individualism, that rugged individualism that is an integral part of the American dream, or as I like to call it, the American gaslight, because it is a lie. And we know this. We know our ancestors were all about community. They've always been. When they said it took a village to raise a child, that wasn't an expression, that was a literal reality. And it takes a village for us to walk in this world today. And I'm honored, happy, excited to be in this village today. This village is small, but it is mighty. And that's where it starts. Small but mighty community. When we shift from dominance to love, and we know that love is also one of our 12 divine innate powers. But there's another definition of love I want to share with you. This is by Erich Fromm. He's a German philosopher, and he was a German Jew who fled Germany during World War II to escape the Nazis. And he defined love as the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. The will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. So the question I have for you today is, are you willing to love? Are you willing to extend yourself past your comfort zone, past whatever you think something needs to be? Are you willing to extend yourself and lean into the imagination of what could be possible in order to nurture your spiritual growth, in order to nurture each other's spiritual growth? Because until we continue to grow and expand spiritually, we're going to get stuck. And let's be clear, growing spiritually is not always comfortable. You know what I say about comfort zones? Great places to live, but nothing ever goes there. So are we willing to take that step? You know, the philosopher Lao Tzu, he says a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, right? So what is the step that you're going to take individually and collectively as a spiritual community to lean into love, to nurture each other's spiritual growth, to be a voice, a presence for justice? And when I say justice, you know, people always think mostly justice as a, we're going to right a wrong. We're going to make a corrections to something that's already happened. I don't view justice that way. For me, justice is creating the conditions so that harm is not done in the first place. That's justice. That's forward thinking justice, creating the conditions so that no harm is done in the first place. And if that's not a loving community, I don't know what is. That's love. That's community. I believe that's what Martin Luther King Jr. said or spoke or referred to when he talked about the beloved community. And it's more than just our internal transformation. It's the collective nurturing of each other. So this is the homework I'm going to give you. I know y'all didn't think you were going to get homework today. It's like, I didn't know I was going to show up for this. This is your homework. This is your assignment. This is your spiritual directive, because justice work is not just about a moral shift. It is a spiritual directive. Ask yourself, what is the one step you're willing to take? Just this week, small step. What one step are you willing to take to imagine and Imagineer, to imagine and help create that future of justice, of love, of liberation, of nurturing each other's spiritual growth, of creating community, local and global, where everyone is supported, regardless of who they are, who they love, who they show up as in the world. I believe that's what we're here to be. We are here to be spiritual abolitionists. That's what we're here to be. I know that's who I was called to be, and I'm going to do it, whether it's here with you all in Union Harlem, whether just online. I don't know where it's going to be, but I'm going to answer that call. And I would love for you to answer that call with me as well. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you today. Thank you very much for the openness to consider if we're going to do this journey together. I'd love to, and I would love for you to as well. Namaste and ashe. All right, so as we continue to collect our offering, let me just mention, if you have a prayer request, I believe there's some prayer slips in the back that you can make a prayer request for. And I want to teach you all an offering blessing. And it's similar to one you already know. I believe, are there words for the offering blessing, the divine love thing? But this one's going to be a little different, because I believe in what we call embodiment, right? I don't believe in just saying things. I believe we got to internalize them, and we got to move our bodies in a ways that allow the words to sink in a little bit more. So not just thought, our whole self is involved. Okay. So I'll make it simple for you. I'll say it and then you repeat after me. You're going to need your hands free for this a little bit. I'll say it through one time. So like you see how it goes, and then we'll do a little, I say it, then you copy after me. So when I do an offering blessing, to really embody it, I say, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. I'll say it, then you copy it after me. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. All right, can we try it all together all at the same time? All right, here we go. And hold on. This time, as you are doing it, whatever you gave today, whatever you've ever given, think of yourself as the manifestation of abundance. Think of yourself as being in the flow of all that is. Think of the fact that in this world, there is more than enough for each of us. And the problem isn't about what we don't have. The problem is about flow and distribution. And we are part of that. So let's say it again. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. So it is.
All right. The camera sometimes follows us, and that's what happens. So that way you can see more of what's happening here. Isn't that fun? All right, so it's time to sing. And so I have a medley that we'll sing. It's not in your program. It is a combination of I Release and I Let Go, which I think a lot of you know already. And then also, I think you might know this one if you've gone to the old time churches. I get joy when I think about what he's done for me and what she's done for me. God, what God's done for me. All right, so everybody, let's sing. You want to stand up? You can, and get moving. You want to clap? You can do that. I release and I let go. I let spirit fill my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I get joy. I get joy when I think about what he's done for me. I get joy when I think about what she's done for me. I got joy when I think about what God's done for me. I got joy when I think about what God's done for me. I get joy when I think about what God's done for me. I get joy when I think about what he's done for me. I get joy when I think about what God's done for me. I got joy when I think about what God's done for me. I release and I let go. I let spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I get joy when I think about. I get joy when I think about. Joy when I think about. Get joy when I think about. When I think about. I get joy when I think about. I get joy when I think about. Joy when I think about. I get joy when I think about. Joy when I think about. I get joy when I think about. I joy when I think about. I get 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 joy when I think about. Joy, 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 joy. I got joy, joy, joy. Gifts, 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 gifts. Blessed, 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 blessed. I am that I am. That I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. That I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. All right. You know, when the spirit comes into the place, you know, you can't just stop. You know, something happens. Good gracious. Thank you, Mr. Ogun Holder, Reverend Ogun. What's the third one? Oguan. Ooh, that flows like water, doesn't it? Oguan. Love it, love it. Okay, Mr. Kwesi Thomas, I think it's your turn. Okay, your turn to come and tell us some wonderful things. Come on.
This time for our service, and we say, what's new in all Unity of Harlem. Unity Harlem today, we're having a special meeting after. We're asking to everyone who's online to give us 15 minutes as we're gonna have a countdown, and you're gonna come back. Too bad you're not gonna, people that are online is not here because we have amazing food in the back. So we have a meeting after. We ask you to please, while you're waiting for the 15 minutes, develop your questions, and you can get it online. You can do it through Facebook and YouTube. You can make your note. You can do it as well. And we will be here to answer your questions. Someone will be here to read off your question for you. Unity in Harlem has a week in our community. We kept meditation at Pillows and at Morehouse every Thursday at noon. Noon is at Pillows and Morehouse is at 3 p.m. If you would like to participate with us, you go 212-222-3470 for the link. Unity Harlem have a Zoom connection on a weekly. We have our study groups. We're studying Sermon on the Mount by Emery Fox, Your Guide to Success in Living, from 6 to 8 p.m. On Fridays, we have the Unity Harlem Prayer Circle at 6 p.m., Release and Let God. If any member would like to have a discuss a personal matter with the minister, you can call. She can be reached at 646-481-1844. Next Sunday, we will have a Lent in the Wing, and on the 30th, the color of Lent and Wings. So once again, I want to remind you, we were meeting with Reverend Holder at the end and have a wonderful meeting today. We look forward for everyone to come back after the 15-minute countdown. Marie and Reverend Holder, could you please come and lead us in our prayer protection and our song of peace song.
Do y'all usually stand for the prayer protection? I don't know what y'all do. It's my first time here. We stand? All right. So let us, as you are able, if you're like, and the words are up on the screen, I'll invite us to all together do the prayer of protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. That's great. All right. Peace song.
Peace song. All right. I guess you're a singer too, aren't you?
No, we don't want that.
Okay. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment, live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And just to be clear, all singers are included in this space.
Please enjoy some refreshments. Call us Kwesi. Thank you, Kwesi. And we will be back in 15 minutes.
Yay, thank you so much for being with us today. Let every voice sing to the Calvary. Harmonies of it. Let every voice sing a song. Listening sky, let it resound loud as the glory. Let every voice sing a let us march on, let us march on to victory. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, built in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat, and not our weary feet, come to the place for which our fathers sighed. Oh, we have come, oh, but the way that which has been lost, oh, we have come, treading the blood of the slaughter, as of the gloomy past, where the white gleam of the bright star is cast. God, are weary. Tears, thou who hast brought us thus far.
That was meant to be. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace be with thee. Let this be among this land. With every step I take, let this be my song of God. To take each moment, each moment, it is on and let it begin with me. Let us walk with each other.
I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things that I should say. Say 'em loud, say 'em clear, for the whole round world to hear. I wish I could share all the love that's in my heart. Remove all the bars that keep us apart. I wish you could know what it means to be me. Then you'd see and agree that every man should be free. I wish I could give all I'm longing to give. I wish I could live like I'm longing to live. I wish I could do all the things that I can do, though I'm way overdue. Be starting anew. Well, I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if my heart could fly. Soar to the sun and look down at the sea. Then I'd sing, 'cause I know, yeah. Not sing, hey, 'cause I know, yeah. Not sing, hey, 'cause I know.
Hi, welcome back. For those people online and those who are visiting with us, that's in today, we welcome you back. And today we're gonna have what we're gonna call a coffee room conversation today. So you ask your questions, I will come around with the mic. But before we get started, our chair of our search committee, Ann, is gonna speak to us. And then I will go after her.
Thank you, Kwesi. I just wanted just a little bit of history. I've known Carol for 40 years. We met when we first were volunteers at the book counter at Avery Fisher Hall when Eric Butterworth was there. And I knew almost right away that Carol was somebody I wanted to get to know. So over the years, we served as group facilitators at retreats. We were roommates at retreats. We've been on the board together. Carol was president of the board at 58th Street for a long time, and I was the secretary. And through those years, Carol was always using her vacation time to go to Unity Village to get certified first as a licensed Unity teacher, and then later started her ministerial studies. So she was a licensed Unity teacher at 58th Street with Eric Butterworth's enthusiastic support and encouragement. And she was really one of his proteges. And then she started the study group up here in Harlem, which a lot of you were part of, that eventually grew into this ministry. And Carol, of course, became ordained. So she's really guided us through the growth of this ministry for many, many years. She and Bob took us through the transition. Bob Poncé, I'm sure everybody knows, took us through the transition to a hybrid ministry when COVID came along. And so we've really gone through a lot of dramatic change. Now, Carol is feeling the call of new enterprises. So, and it comes at a good time because ministry is changing. And as Reverend Ogun talked about during the service, change is nothing grows in a comfort zone. So it's and it's time for us to all be imagineering a new form of ministry, one that connects with a wider population throughout Harlem and beyond, with a younger population that just has different experiences, people who are part of this digital world and really perceive things in a different way. What doesn't change, what has never changed throughout time, is that still small voice that called to each of us and that still calls. And we want to be able to respond to that need that every human being has. They find that answer in different ways. And many of us have found it here. And we want to extend that invitation to others in this community. And to do that, we need to welcome the new form that's coming. And we're creating it. We are the pioneers. We're creating it as we go along. That's why I'm so happy to see people here in this room and people online to participate, because this is a community enterprise, as Reverend Ogun was saying a little earlier in his remarks. So one thing that's going to be different is that this will be a halftime ministry. And Reverend Ogun will not be here all the time. Sometimes he'll be online, sometimes he'll be here in person. We need to figure out what that's going to look like. We have some ideas that, for example, it could be that he's here 6 months and that in other places for 6 months, but he's doing services remotely. And that would, and is at halftime, that would be the service, weekly classes, and pastoral care. Another way that we thought that it might work would be that he's here for a shorter period of time, maybe I'm just throwing out, we're just making this up as we go along, maybe 4 months, but it would be much more intensive. And that what we would hope to see there is that he would really get to know the community. He's already had quite the introduction this weekend. Lee was his host, and Kwesi has been his host, just walking around the neighborhood and meeting people. And of course we have a lot of other folks who know this community well and can be links to other organizations. Reverend Ogun has his own ideas about what it might look like. So we want you to be part of this conversation. It's really important that we have participation. So with that, I think we're going to
call it community based.
Yes. Go ahead, Kwesi, talk about that.
We're looking at a community based ministry that we as the members and also our board will be leading the charge that us change us. So as we look for the new direction, as we move forward in the 21st century, let us not walk in it with fear. Let's walk with hope, with our eyes open, and be excited that we will grow and we will be successful.
I'll just start by just giving you a brief story of what led me to you, and then we'll just open it up for some questions and some dialogue. I was, as you heard earlier, ordained in 2011. I served in Raleigh, North Carolina. Before that, I was in church since I was, I don't know, as long as I can remember, from my grandmother's little country church. I was a church musician from 12 years old. I've been music director in churches. Any part of a church, I've done it. Okay. And in 2020, when COVID happened, something shifted in me. First of all, I was very, empowered to realize that this spiritual work is really justice work. So I shifted towards that, which you may or may not be surprised to know didn't always go over well in unity communities, especially predominantly white unity communities. And then when we shifted online, I realized that I really gravitated towards, this different face of ministry for a lot of different reasons. And I knew that if I was, I took a break, Reverend Kelly Isla, some of you may recognize your name, taking classes with her or whatever. We started this platform called Project Sanctus, and it was really about using our spiritual teachings as the foundation for justice work, for anti-racism work, for equipping and educating people. And I knew that if I was ever going to come back to church ministry, it had to be something new and innovative, not the way church has always been done. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the general current church model we have has existed for centuries, and it is dying. I almost said a slow death. That death has picked up a lot recently. So, but I believe firmly in spiritual community. There's no doubt about it. Community is what will save us during these times. And our spiritual growth and our spiritual expansion is also what will save us as individuals. So I firmly believe in it. I just don't believe it has to look the way it's always looked before. We have to change and adapt, or we will die. Stagnation is death. So it took me a few years to be out of church ministry to do my healing work, do my own restoration work. And when I was ready to jump back into church ministry, my talk was about imagining. And at first I could not imagine that I would be able to be a church minister in the way that I felt called to be. And then I said, well, why not? Right? Why not? We have these spiritual teachings about manifestation and abundance. Why can't I have my cake and eat it too? That's the point of cake, right? The point of cake is to eat it. Right? I never understood that saying. You can't have your cake and eat it too. That's the point of cake. And I love cake. So I began to just hold that vision. And then, literally one day I'm called to Unity Worldwide Ministries website to look at church openings. And here's Unity in in Harlem. I knew I didn't want to go back to predominantly white community. I wanted to be with family, and I saw that you wanted a part-time minister, and I know I didn't want to go back to full-time ministry. I still do my spiritual and grief coaching. And if you want later, I can talk about my whole grief journey. The spiritually centered anti-racism work I do. I don't want to give up on that either. But there's something, as much as I love the online work, that will never replace this. And I don't believe it has to be one or the other. I believe it's both, the both and. That's what we teach. We don't teach the either or. Either or is a mindset of oppression. The both and, that's abundance right there. That's spiritual truth, both and. So that's what led me to this, to see you guys. So I saw, and for a while I sat there and I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then I got the invitation to present at the People of African Descent New Thought Conference. And I was there, and Reverend Carol was there. And I told Reverend Carol, I said, I got this crazy idea. And I shared with her. And Reverend Carol says, well, don't talk to me, talk to them. She's like, this is not my decision to make. That's their decision to make. Reach out and connect. And I did that. And I've had numerous Zoom calls with the board and the search team, and we've been in conversation. And rightly so, as your representatives, they're throwing a lot of questions at me, right? A lot of concerns, a lot of how is this going to look and how is this going to work? And most of the answers I gave them was, I don't know. I don't know, because something like this may never have been done before. And we have to co-create this together in real time. And we're going to do it well sometimes, and we're going to do it poorly at sometimes. But that's how we learn. That's how we grow, right? By being uncomfortable and leaning into the discomfort. My ministerial and personal mantra for years has been, I am here to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. So as soon as I know I get too comfortable in something, that's I gotta take a look at what I'm in and how to get myself out of that comfort zone, because then I'm not gonna grow as well. So that's what led me to you all. I am, for the last 3 years, I've been a nomad and traveling around the world. And I'm beginning to settle in Lisbon. Why Lisbon, you ask? Because my partner, the love of my life, that's where she lives. And I want to be in two places at once. I want to be there. I want to be here. Cake. Remember the thing about cake, right? Okay, keep that in. I should have bought a cake. You didn't make cake today, did you? Okay, should have brought a cake in for visual prop. So again, at a time where this ministry is very clear about its physical and its online presence, I envisioned this is a possibility to be a minister of community, both physical and online. And it's a part-time. So one of the ways, we haven't decided how this is going to look. Like I said, we create it in real time. But one of the ways I envision this could possibly work is it's a part-time position. So if you take a quarter of a year, that's 3 months, right? Am I doing my math well? I don't math well. 3 months. So that's approximately like 12 Sundays. Okay. It's a part-time position. So I'm being asked to commit to six Sundays or 6 weeks, however you want to put it that way. So could I do half of that time here and half of that time remotely? So be here every quarter, 3 to 4 weeks, right? Because I don't, one of the things that they mentioned was maybe come for a big chunk of time and then go. No, I want to be here on a regular sort of basis to form connections and relationships with you all, with the wider community. One of the questions they asked me during our interviews was, ideas I have for outreach and in the community and all that. What ideas did I have? I said, I don't have any. I don't know Harlem. You all need to tell me. You need to tell me and give me time to learn not what just unity in Harlem needs, but how unity in Harlem can serve the needs of the wider Harlem community. I'm not going to come in here with all kind of like academic book ideas about what works and what doesn't work. I have no idea. I'm, like I said at the beginning of my talk, I am here to learn from you as well. So I come with that openness and that humility and that willingness to listen to you all, and you all say, hey, here's from our connections in the wider Harlem community, here's what I think needs to be done, and we can go, all right, well, let's look and see who we have in our community that can help meet those needs, and realize there's the song by Jana Stanfield. I don't know if y'all know her, but she wrote a song and the lyric goes, I can't do all the good the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. So what is the good that Unity in Harlem can do, and how can we do it together? And to Kwesi's point, and to my talk, I don't believe in top-down leadership, in that hierarchy. I believe in that circle, and all of us in the circle together. So when he mentioned community leadership, that's what I really am leaning into more and more. Not the minister, Mr. Know-it-all. Trust me, if I am the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. Right? This is how I operate. I'm here to learn. I'm here to be your spiritual leader and touchstone, and help support whatever it is y'all want to do. That's how I see ministry and see myself and see my role. And yes, part of that requires me to be here in person, and some of that can be done remotely. As we learn from COVID, ain't nothing we can't do online no more. Right? In terms of meetings and discussions. And as we learned in COVID, there's so much we have to be together to do. Right? It's the both and. That's my elevator pitch right there. So,
Do you have any questions?
anything anyone want to share, reflect, question?
Hold on a second.
Yeah. Some of the questions I had, I had asked you, we talked about in terms of outreach. And I certainly agree in terms of what you were saying in terms of a matriarch type of situation. But what's happening in Harlem now, just to make you aware of it, it's becoming a blended community. There's no getting around that. How do I feel about it is another story, because Harlem is open up to everybody. But certainly as we move forward, for example, in my building, when I first moved in, it was all Black. Now it's maybe 30% Black. So I just want to make you aware of the fact that Harlem is becoming a blended community. So I just want to point that out. And I had mentioned to you that in terms of, and folks in here know I have mentioned in terms of outreach in reference to family shelters. We have a small crew here, but we have people that can tutor. We have people that have expertise where we don't necessarily have to go in and push church, but what are your needs? We used to deal with so we have, you and I spoke about it, and I've shared it with folks, in terms of us. I had mentioned that we do meditation at the senior center place, and there may be individuals that may want to come to church, but may not have any transportation to get here. Maybe we can set up some transportation, because there's a lot of folks in nursing homes that are in need. And that's where Jesus went, where folks were in need, So I just wanted to share that with you to remind you that Harlem is becoming a blended community.
Any more questions?
Thank you. And thank you for the personal tour yesterday as well. Thanks to Leroy, I can check off my bucket list that I saw Reverend Al Sharpton live and in person, because we rolled by the Action Network Center, and that was a treat. He's thinking we got a hand at that. And in response to the thing about Harlem being a blended community, yes, this is, gentrification is one of the realities that cities are facing all over the country.
It's okay.
And if you, I mean, I don't have to tell y'all, you probably know around the history of how the racial makeup of cities change over time. You know, right? It goes from that's where the rich and the elite at the top of the hierarchy live, and then it becomes, you know, that's where the dregs of society live, and then it goes back, and then becomes too expensive, and people are pushed out, and this is reality, unfortunately, of the capitalist society in which we live. So, you know, we always have to discern what is ours to do. You know, in my I was married for 15 years, and at one point, and anytime some conflict came up, the first question I asked myself is this the hill I want to die on? Right. So this is what discernment is. Discernment is realizing the realities that are happening and asking ourselves what is ours to do and how is ours to show up within that reality, and to acknowledge the grief around losing what was once something precious, and at the same time embracing the new reality and asking what's ours to do to help shape it, as well. Not just say like, all right, this is happening, there's nothing we can do about it. How do we help shape what's happening? And from what I can see looking around, there's a lot of people doing that, as well. So like the day before when I got in, Quasi and Ann were taking me around, and Quasi was pointing out all these like restaurants and stuff that are Black owned, and Black businesses are beginning to come back, and people are working together in cooperatives and communities to not just turn Harlem over. Right. So to, again, the both hand. Yes, Ann.
I have a question.
Sorry, Annette.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's just fine. And today I'm wearing my Celebrating Our Soul T-shirt,
Yes.
which I forgot to talk about. You talked about our being a community. How do you see building this church community? How do you have any ideas about how to grow it here in person? How do you have any ideas about that? How to fill the seats?
Yes and no. So let me start with the no part first. The no part of that answer is, in my experience, when spiritual communities try too hard to get people in the door, it becomes gimmicky, right? And people know when you're not genuine. People know you just want them to fill seats. You just want them to fundraise. People know that. Okay. The yes part is, and I've experienced this in my life personally, and again, as a minister in other places, when we get clear about who we are and who we are called to be, and we put that into action, the people who need to be with us to fulfill that vision are going to show up. One of the things that I always encourage people to do is, when there is this emphasis on we have to grow the church and we have to have numbers, I always encourage them to ask, where does that come from? Right? Because we equate numbers with success. And honestly, that's a capitalist idea. That's a capitalist idea that says bigger is better, more is better. Productivity, right. Numbers mean we're doing it right. If we're doing it right, numbers are going to go up. Now, I am not against or anti having more people here. But for me, the question is, if the motivation is just we need to get more numbers because that's how we know we're doing it right, or we need to get more numbers because that's how we know church is being successful, then I question that. Y'all have been here for how many years? 12 years, a dozen years. Okay, 13 now. We're in the 13th year of Unity of Harlem's existence. Have you ever been more than 100 people? No. Would you say that this church has been a failure? No. Exactly. right? So it's not always about the numbers. But again, in my experience, when you show up simply clear about who you are, what you're called to do, who you're called to be, and you're doing it, you will attract people. You're also going to lose people, let's be clear, because there are people who are like, this is not what I signed up for, and they will head out the door. When we challenge people and they become uncomfortable, a lot of them head out the door. But the people who are meant to help you fulfill that vision, fulfill your spiritual directive, they will be drawn to you and they will show up. And for me, that's what's more important. Not the numbers of people in the seats, but the number of committed, quality people, spiritually grounded people who are helping fulfill the mission and the vision. That for me is more important. I'd rather there's a reason Jesus only had 12, right? He would travel around and there'd be big crowds coming to see him. You know, the story of him feeding the 5,000, whether it was literally 5,000 people there or not, I don't know. Nobody's taking a head count or a roll. I don't know. But the point is the ministry, you know, him, the 12 disciples, the women that we don't talk about that weren't mentioned in there because, you know, they were there too, supporting the ministry, right? So he didn't travel with a band of 300 people. Okay, so it's not about the numbers, it's about who is there on point doing the mission. We got a question over here. Yes, sir.
Yes, Reverend Holder.
Yes. Ogun, please. Ogun or Ogun? Yeah, yes.
Ogun.
Yes.
Yes, I like the answer to Annette's question, but I wanted to know if you had any specifics of what you think. You said yes or no, but do you have any specific ideas that you would like to share at this time?
No, I don't have any specific ideas. I'm going to sit down and talk with you all about so for example, one of the things that I heard about was we need younger people. We need younger people in the church. I remember when the very first Zoom meeting I had with the board and search team, Kwesi was like, I'm about the youngest person here, and I'm 50. I don't know if everybody knew you were 50. I don't want to tell you business. You're 53 now? Oh.
So that makes you the youngest person?
Yeah, you are the young.
Where's what's his name? Jonathan. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? So if I'm glad Jonathan's here. If we want to not for that reason. If we want to get young people in here, you know who we need to talk to?
Young people.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't know, I got a 24-year-old, but I don't know what's happening in the minds of 20-something-year-olds. I don't. So I'm not going to pretend to either. So for me, if we want to get young people in here, like talk to the young people in your family. Talk to the young people. If you teach or a mentor, talk to them. You know, I'll go down the streets and talk to some people. What would it take for y'all to get into church? And I'm going to tell you, most of them are going to tell you, yeah, we're not going to church on a Sunday morning. Right? They all having a good time all night. Poor Jonathan rolled in here on 5 hours of sleep. Like, showing up here on a Sunday morning. Okay. However, they may watch a service later. However, when we create something in the community that serves their needs, they're going to connect to us at that point. They may never walk into this space, but they will connect with us where we meet them at the point of their need. So right. So we got to get rid of this thought of we got to get them in here. No, we got to get out there. Yeah, there's no, that is a very, antiquated church idea that we have to get the people in here. No, we have to go and meet them where they're at, create services. Well, what are young people, whether it's mentoring, whether it's like, how do we equip people to stay grounded in this like rapidly changing technological world? We have to find out what their needs are. And then we have to ask ourselves, can we meet their needs? Right? And maybe we might find out that we can't. And you know what, folks? That's okay. It is okay. It is okay if this community, all it ever does is attracts people in their 40s and 50s and up. As long as they stay with us, and we keep attracting people. There will always be people. Y'all been here for 12 years. How many 20 somethings have you had in your congregation that whole time? But you're still here, right? So a lot of this is examining the internal beliefs that we have about how a church needs to look, how a church needs to grow. We got to throw those out the window. And I'm not saying start from scratch. I am saying, again, who are we here to be? Who are you here to be and show up as? And when you can get a real handle on that, and then find out how you can serve the community, that's it. That's the magic formula. So no, I don't have any specific ideas because, again, very new to Harlem. Like, I've been in Harlem maybe 3 times my whole life. I've spent more time in Harlem this weekend than I have before, right? Because I don't live in Harlem. I don't live in New York. I got lots of friends and family in the New York area. I've lived in Barbados, Kansas City, Raleigh, DC, the Boston area. Ask me about those places, I'll tell you. But here we have to ask what are the needs out there and get honest about if we can fill them or not. And if we can't, that's okay. Let's find who is calling us to serve them. Any other questions? Yes.
I just wanted to say that over the 13 years that we've been here, we've created a place where, unlike most church or temple or even gathering places, where we literally know the names and the likes and dislikes of the people that are here. I can't say that I've ever been in a church or in a community, a spiritual community, where that was true, where we together, help each other. We know that this one does that well and that one does this well, and I can help this one this way, and I can acknowledge this one this way, and I can help grow this one this way. And something that I appreciate is that this is the only church in this neighborhood that I know of where I can bring my brother and his partner of 47 years and know that he will not be attacked or compromised in any way, and he will be loved, and his partner, who is a different race, will again not be hurt in any way. How many places can we say that happens? Something that you said earlier is that people are people. People are no different at the age of 5 or 85. They all want to grow. They want to be loved on. They want to be loved the way they want to be loved. They want to be understood about maybe what are the things what are their accesses to information. A friend of mine, I work with the Thunderbirds. A good friend of mine, a new member. She's young. She's in college, and she talks about how on Instagram people have so many harsh and debates sometimes, and sometimes that's very concerning for her. And so, are we willing to take on the accesses that are used by those younger people or artists or people who have different gender orientations? Are we willing to get on an Instagram or even find out how it works and have conversations there, to even get on the Facebook and YouTube channel that we have already and start a conversation? Put a picture of what we just did, so that we can talk to a person who's doing this all the time in the way that they talk. We talk one way, perhaps, and perhaps other sectors talk a different way. Are you interested in your free time, your own free time, to find out what that might be. So that is my question to us. Can we, not just say it here and not do it?
Thank you. In response to that, real quickly, one of the other more antiquated church ideas and beliefs that we have to move on from is this idea that it's the minister's responsibility to grow the church. Yeah, it's not my responsibility to grow the church. It's everybody's responsibility here to grow the church, right? To let people know that this is a safe space. And the other part that comes with growth is our own discomfort, because if we saying we want to be a more inclusive, welcoming place so that everybody can come, everybody might show up. And what that means is there are going to be people who walk through those doors who are not like you, and it will make you feel uncomfortable. Whether they're a different identity, orientation, whatever it is, there are people who are going to show up. They're going to be people in pain. This is the thing. One of the things I never understood is that, churches say we welcome all, and then people show up in pain, right? And what do we know about people who are hurting? People who are hurting hurt people. So people come in pain sometimes, and they project that pain out in here, in the church, sort of as a way to kind of test, am I really safe here or not, right? And then a lot of spiritual communities go like, no, we can't handle that. You're disrupting the peace. You're making us too uncomfortable. So churches sometimes say they want to grow, but they don't want to grow at the expense of their comfort. They don't want to grow at the expense of doing it the same way they've always done it. They don't want to grow at the expense of losing that we know everybody's names and likes, right? And it can become cliquish, and then becomes not welcoming. So when you say you want to grow, remember what that also comes with, right? It ain't just numbers of people. It's about you being challenged in your own belief systems. It's about you being challenged in your own comfort zone. If this church grows and a year from now there's like 5 times as many people here, you're going to lose some of that we know everybody feeling, right? Some of that intimacy. And then some people are going to be like, it don't feel like it used to feel like before, and they're not going to show up. Seen that happen so many times. So the question becomes, if we say we want to grow and we want this and we want this, are we also prepared to do the adapting and the changing that we are challenged to as we do that, right? You talk about you want to get young people in here. Tell you what, man, the younger the people, the more they're going to let you know what you're not doing right. And are you willing and open to hear that and to listen to them? If you bring different people in and don't listen to them, A, they're not going to stay, and B, you didn't really want them in the first place. You just wanted the numbers. You didn't want them. So if you want them, you have to be willing to listen to them. And that's going to push some buttons. Yes.
Yeah. What happens is that there's a few things I want to respond to. One of the issues that I feel that we have when we talk about numbers and stuff, and I've always shared this, and first of all, we are a study group for a long period of time. So you add 13 to how many years we were a study group as well. So we were in the community that long. But what I want to say is that if, in fact, everybody that came into these rooms was the return, it'd be packed.
Sure.
You see, so one of the issues is not only attracting folks, but what do we do to keep them here, keep them coming? You see, now also when you had mentioned, you don't know, and I understand to a degree, but I'm quite sure in the places that you went, because you and I talked about going where I feel we need to go. Yep. They have shelters in those places. They have young men locked up in jail. We have to, what happens when I was teaching at Rackers, I was the source. I was the connection because I brought daily words up there. And we had one time where we had one of the students that I had come to one of our services and speak. Now, I may have given out hundreds and thousands of daily words, and we only saw one, but that one was important. That showed me that what we were doing is important. So what we feel we need to, one of the things, I suggest is find out how we can get connected to these places, in terms of jail, in terms of the shelters, because these are folks in need. And I agree with you 100%. You got to go out. They're not going to come. You hear that thing, build and they will come, but you got to do something for them to come. You just can't build a spot. You got to do something, So I think that, again, I've expressed myself. When you had indicated the same thing that goes on in Kansas City in the Black community goes on here.
Mhm.
You see, in terms of the arrest rate and all that kind of stuff goes on here. So a lot of family shelters goes on here.
Yeah.
So if we can devise a way or come up with a way that we can create a connection, a way to get into these
Sure.
places and offer, not only in terms I've mentioned to you, not to force unity. We have people here that are teachers that can tutor if they need some help tutoring. We have
Yeah.
Bob here who's a tech. Maybe someone wants to learn tech. I'm quite sure Ann knows all about banking in case anybody wants to get in, but we want to meet their needs. You see,
Yes.
put something in, in place for that.
I agree.
So that's all I had to say there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And one of the things we also have to realize is that as much as many resources as we have in terms of skills, knowledge, and that the people in this room possess and people who are connected to us, as much as we have, and we're rich in that, we also have to remember that people got lives and people are tired and people got a lot going on. So all we can do is, with open hearts, invite people to step in and share, and accept those who will and accept those who won't. And realize that if there's a need we see that needs to be filled, and the people aren't here to do it, that it's okay to let it go. I've been in churches where they've done certain activities year after year after year, and they want to keep doing them. And they're asking for somebody to head up the committee or the volunteer team of volunteers, and people aren't showing up, and they're pressuring people, and then people don't show up, and then the board members are like, well, we got to do it, otherwise it won't get done. And people are, and I was like, and what happens if it doesn't get done this year? Like, I'm just curious, what would happen, right? Because what we're doing is building resentment when we try to pressure people to serve. You got to be willing to serve on your own. All I can do is invite you into it. We can talk about the power of service, how it transforms those who we serve, and it transforms us as well. But all you can do is invite and be willing, right? Again, I look to, unity speaks of Jesus as a way sure. So I always look to Jesus as Jesus as an example. And Jesus often invited people into their healing, right? Pick up your bed and walk. And some people did and some people didn't. And Jesus didn't lose any sleep over it. He kept on walking to the next town to stir up some more trouble somewhere else, right? So I agree with what you were saying. And part of this is almost taking a little bit of a Buddhist approach, a non-attachment approach. We're going to come up with some ideas. We're going to see the needs that need to be filled. We're going to ask people to step in. And if people don't step in, I'm not going to strong arm anyone into doing that. It's going to be on us to be willing to do that, right? And then years down the road, when it's like, well, why didn't we make any connections with these people? Well, because the invitation was there, and no one stepped up. And I'm not saying this from a trying to guilt place. It's a reality of it happens when we do it. What's that old 12-step saying? It works if we work it, right? So we have to do the working, right? And if for this community, you discern that all you want to do is come, gather, be here, have a good sermon and enjoy your time together, then that's who you are. And if you want to be one that, equips yourself to go in the community and transform, that's who you are. And there's nothing wrong with either of those options, right? But don't say you want to be one when you're really the other, because that's going to be an inauthenticity that's not going to work. So that's what I mean by you got to discern who you want to be and who you're going to show up as, because there's power to also be in a community that just sits in the presence, right? But I believe there's even more power to a community that is in action, right? And that what our fifth unity principle is. Not enough to know these, we gotta put them in action, both as individuals and as a community. What is our time? I don't know.
Well,
Time ways. Oh wait, hold on a second. Let me check in with Kwesi on time. We got 20 more minutes. Oh yeah.
Sometimes we can do it, but we refuse to do it.
But again, that's on that's up to the person. I'm not going to force or guilt anybody into doing anything.
Well, speaking of what you're
Yes.
saying about going into things that we do every year, in which you charged when the committee met with you, you asked us what are the main things that's important to Unity in Harlem.
Yes.
So we went to the board, we went to our membership, and we put a slideshow together to show you the 9 events that we're extremely about. First is our African American month. We have speak every 4 speakers speak each month.
Mhm.
This is very important to us.
Each Sunday.
Next
Yeah.
each Sunday. Our Easter service is very important to us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Our spring gospel brunch. That's how we raise money to fund the
I want to show up for
ministries.
that one.
Then we have our Father's Day breakfast. That's how we raise money. Where we honor the men in our prayer and also allow us to raise money.
June is my birthday month. By the way, just putting that out there. June 1st. Mark
And
your
this
calendars.
is the day that we go to Harlem, that we invite people from all over the community to.
okay.
We go to Central Park, 109, in the same spot, and we don't have service that Sunday, but we have dinner picnic.
Wonderful.
In our World Days of Prayer, this is how we bring other religions and social action groups into us to help us build, and we build that around Unity's World Day of
Mhm.
Prayer. Thanksgiving we have a Thanksgiving dinner. This came from one of our members who decided that she was saying that there's lonely people, and so now we do an annual Thanksgiving dinner, and we feed Sunday before Thanksgiving, and it's big to us as well. And our last one was our Christmas and New Year's service.
That's all right.
Christmas and New
All
Year's
right.
service, and we have as we know,
Burning
in
bowl.
all Unity churches, we have the burning bowl, and we burn things we want to leave in the new year. So as we build and this understanding of how this is going to work out, we're going to build around this calendar, and we're going to support. So we need you all to be a part of this as we be integrated, as we are pioneers in the Unity movement, because we're the first in doing this.
Did we have any questions from anyone online or anything coming in?
I checked.
Okay.
Right. Oh. Right.
Just somebody said, "Hi, Ogun, nice to see you."
Thank you, Fred.
I would like to ask a question, and it's about what do each of you look for in a church community? And I'll start. So what I look for is, and what the thing that has really been fulfilling for me is a place where I learn about spiritual principles, about how they work in my life, about how I can continue to grow in using them and really literally transforming my life, which is what has happened over the years. and continue to do that, to understand it at a deeper level as I have new experiences, because my thought is that every new experience is a lesson. There's something for me to learn here. And so I'm looking for help with that experience. I'm looking for inspiration. And I'm looking for a community that supports this way of life, because it's not what you hear in the outside world. And it's really nice to have other people who are on the same path, who are supporting and reinforcing the work that the spiritual work that I'm doing and that each of us is doing, and sort of speak the same language about that and understand. But I would really, so that's what's important to me. Part of it is getting, part of that learning and growing is getting pushed out of my comfort zone, being presented with a new way to look at things that compels me to make new choices in how I spend my time and what kinds of connections I have. So that's so, but I really want to hear from other people, because it's important.
Okay, so similar to you, the best church kind of situation for me is a place where I can get my homework, where I get so much cool, where I have mental and spiritual banquet, where I can take the thoughts and the feelings and whatever I got from what I'm hearing and interacting with, and take it home and be like, oh yeah, this is good. This is good. And really transform my life. I need a place where it's like literally I'm transforming from week to week. Like where I don't even know who I am, because I'm like, whoa, what just happened? You know, that kind of thing. And also not only that, but great music. Hopefully, I don't know. Well, we'll see. Great music or a great experience. And just non-judgment, non-judgment for, whether for your orientation, for your race, for your being native or being wicked because you're native. Oh my goodness. Or a dancer, you're wicked because you're a dancer. I mean, what? Okay, no, not really. Thank you. Yeah.
Similarly to Anne and Marie, I'm looking to be spurred to grow in all areas of my life. The messages that I get to prompt me to say, I need to get out of my comfort zone in other areas of my life. And I also just enjoy the camaraderie that we have here.
No, I would like my beliefs supported. The things that I believe spiritually, that is fed to me in dosages, or the message, and where do I come, and who is available at the time. For me, needs to be ready, willing, and able. And that's just not a cliche, I want to be there every Sunday. I would like them to be there as much as I want to be there. I think that's enough.
I'll just say in general, comfort, refueling. That's what I hope to get from service every Sunday, because I know no matter what I go through during the week, I have an opportunity to come home on the weekend that will give me the strength and clarity that I need to be able to pursue whatever it is I need to pursue within the next week.
I agree with this young man. I'm looking for a place where I can get um, inspiration and motivation not to give up or not to strangle somebody, so I can get through the next week, or just some idea or some belief that uh, there is an answer, and don't give up and don't give out. And so it's like, what do you call it? The gasoline station. You know, if I could stop at the church on Sunday and get a refill from people who I know see the glass half full, not half empty. And where there's, because I don't know about anybody else, not that I'm on my way to heaven anyhow, but there is a God. I know, I know that I know all of those things I've done. Oh, Lord help. There is a God. And so spirit is important to me. And I have friends I run into that I love really dearly. And I had one that was, I wanted to belt him. He had the nerve, oh, you one of those church girls. And I said to myself, some things to myself, you know, and I said, praise God. But I come to the church because it keeps me going, because there are moments and there are times and there are situations that I want to give up because life is not easy. And I come here for the socialization because I need people, you know, what is it? The TikTok, the Instagram, the Facebook, the WhatsApp, the social medias, or here to stay, I would guess. But it's always good to be able to touch somebody. I'm just that, I guess I'm giving my age. I'm just that old. And so for me, church is something that's going to get me through the valleys. So thank you.
I would just say love, as you so put it so beautifully. We're all looking for love.
Not really. Well, okay. All right, you got the back of my head. All right. So I feel like church. I've always envisioned Unity in Harlem to be kind of a spiritual laboratory, and that's what it's been so far, and that's what I think it's continuing to be. So, as long as we're always, you know, tweaking the model, trying new things, focusing on how we can engage people. One of the things we did in our earlier years is after the minister talked, we had a little bit of talk back from the audience. So it wasn't just like an audience, and you come, you hear the speaker, you put your money in the thing and you go home. I think that model doesn't work. I think a model where we want to hear, because you learn as much from the people who are in the seats as you do from the person who's at the podium. So I hope we continue that spirit. I think we've done a good job, and like we said, we're still here and we're still going forward. So that's all I have to say.
Real quick. Yeah, I agree with Bob where, congregation has a chance to respond to, certainly, to build a community. I think I want to be involved with a church that's concerned about building the community, not only spiritually, but in other aspects as well. But the basis is spiritual, but, that they be involved with a church. Again, I'm being repetitive. That's going to help build our community.
Well, I don't know if I have a right to speak because I'm not a member here, but I grew up at 120 West 112th Street between 7th and St. Nicholas, and only left when I graduated from college and went to live in Japan. But I must tell you, I have never met Reverend Ogun in person, but I have been with him online since about 2020, 2021 in Project Sanctus. And this is a person who tells you who he is. So when you get him, you are not surprised. And when you get him, if you're the right fit, you are going to just love him, as I have from a distance. So this was the first time I got to hug him, but I hope it's not the last.
I didn't plant her in the audience. Just to be clear. Just to be clear, but I'm so glad she's here, and so glad that yes, we can meet in person. Something different there. To briefly respond to some things you said. Oh, sorry, Annette, you wanted to go? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What I want in a church, many things have already been said. And what hasn't been said is, I want to be me in the church. However that looks, and it changes often, but a church also, when I said me also, not really what I can do, but how I think and what I think about and how I hear information, how it comes into me and rolls around in my head, or as I used to say, in the fan until I understand it. And so it says basically me means growing, understanding spiritually so that I get better. I get to know that God is within me. I say it all the time to myself too. But I want to grow in really understanding that, so that when I pray with somebody, I'm praying from an understanding. And I believe I get that when I come to church, and whether it's a spiritual leader or whether it's people in the church or whether it's in a class, and the classes are wonderful. I learn every single week, that I grow that way and that I can serve not only others in a way that I know how to do, but in serving me to get better. And that's what I like to come to church about.
Just briefly, as you heard, there's a lot of overlap in what folks are looking for, and there's a lot of also unique differences in what people are looking for. And what often happens is the church tries to be everything for everyone, which is an impossibility. But what is also possible is that we each come and feel seen, feel heard. And I love what you said about the get the refill, fill up your gas tank. I view it slightly differently. I don't view church as a place that comes and fill up your gas tank. I view church as a place that reminds you that you have an unlimited source of gas as the manifestation of the divine. Right? I believe that's what church is here. Unity. What our movement is here to remind you. Right? Eric Butterworth said this in, I forget which book it was. I think it's a book on prayer, but he said, I'm paraphrasing, the fullness of God is everywhere present at every point in the universe, right? And that includes the point of you and you and you and me. The fullness of God is present at the point of who I am, at the point of who you are. Which, when you think about it, sounds awesome. Which, when you think about it, also sounds terrifying. Right? It's kind of a bit of the both and. And when you want to strangle that person, listen, we all got a list of people we want to strangle. Some of them running our government right now, but I don't believe there's anything wrong with wanting to strangle a person. I believe anger is a very useful emotion. A lot of times, in spiritual circles, sometimes we may be told that we aren't supposed to be angry, or that angry is some sort of spiritual feeling. Nah. Anger lets us know that there's something not in alignment. And then our work is to find out what spiritual tools can help us discern how we get it in alignment, whether it's us or what's outside of us. So I used to push my anger down a lot, because I didn't believe that if I was a good spiritual student, I should be getting angry. Right? Again, following Jesus's model. Jesus got angry plenty. Right? I wore my shirt today. Flip the tables of oppression. Right? Well, you know, I don't know if any of y'all grew up in the like more evangelical space. Remember the whole "What would Jesus do" movement, right? What would Jesus do? Yes, sometimes Jesus will love, sometimes Jesus will forgive, sometimes Jesus will flip a table and call you a snake, right? There's time and a place for both, and I think what is ours to do is to discern when it's time to be the forgivers, be the healers, be the lovers, and when is the time to be the voice that flips the table and say this is not how it should be. So it calls for both. It calls for both. So yes, I'm glad you're not out strangling people. I'm glad none of us are. We don't do that, right? But it's also okay when we have that feeling not to just stay silent and say I'm supposed to love you. You gotta love everybody, but you don't gotta like everybody, right? And sometimes we have to be able to be that voice to say what just happened is not okay, because that's not the embodiment of love. That's not the embodiment of spirit happening right here, and we gotta speak to that. That's not what principle is, as well. I love what you said about the back and forth, the conversation. One of the things I used to love doing at churches is once every few weeks I would do an Ask the Minister service, right, where everybody's throwing in questions and I'd answer. We'd have a dialogue. I also love the idea of, you know, give a talk and then people want to hang around for a few minutes. We have some discourse about it. But I love the ask the minister questions. I tell you a brief funny story. It was so hilarious. Back in the church in Massachusetts, I was in an Ask the Minister Sunday, and somebody submitted a question. And the question was around. There was a woman, she felt her husband was addicted to pornography. So she wanted me to talk about pornography and talk about, you know, healthy spiritual sexuality and all that. So, you know, I had my answer ready to go. And service started. And just when I was about to get up to give the talk, a woman with 3 small children walked in. And I knew that she was new to the church and her children were new to the church, right? And she came and she sat there, and I'm like, oh, like, can you imagine walking into church and the first thing you were hearing this minister talk about is pornography? And I was really torn in the moment. So in the moment, I had to say to her, you know, I don't want to embarrass you and highlight you, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad your kids are here. This is so amazing. You came on a very special day. It's Ask the Minister Sunday. And people have asked me questions. I'm going to respond to them. Some of these questions are going to be adult themed. So this would be a real good time to take your children to YFM right now. And she did that, and it was great. And I'm answering these questions, and then I open it up to questions from the floor. And she was the first person up to the microphone to ask me something, you know, and first time in the congregation, and she came for some time afterwards as well. But you're right. This cannot be just a one-way delivery of me standing up here thinking I know all the things and telling you, because you all are here to challenge me. You all are here to get me out of my comfort zone as well. I am going to grow because of you, and you are going to grow because of me. We are in this together. So that's the other thing about, you know, church and ministers that we need to dispel, that I am here as the source who knows more than you do. Yeah, I went to school, I got ordained, whatever. Right? I'm a 50-year-old man, and I know y'all have so much more experience than I do in this world and this life. Y'all can teach me some things. You all going. When I'm glad Wendy's here, because in one of the things that we do in our online community, we do affinity groups, and like once a month, I facilitate a conversation online, and is just people of color, right? Because we know that code switching is real. We know that sometimes that, you know, us Black folk, we just got to be in the room by ourselves and be ourselves, right? And who usually shows up to this meeting, this online gathering every Wednesday night, is much more well-lived, experienced Black women And I learned so much from them. They're like, we come to learn from you, Reverend Ogun. I'm like, no, 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 no. Y'all taking me to school, right? So I have learned from the elders. I've learned from the women. I am never, anytime you hear me coming across that I got it figured out and I know all the answers, please call me out on it because I've lost my way. Yes. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hierarchy versus circle. I'm in the circle with you. And I am not supposed to be at the center of the circle. Right? So that's what we mean by the community.
Find you online.
Oh, so the easiest way to find me online, revogun.net. REVOGUN, revogun.net. Yes, Rev Ogun. You go there, you're going to see a bunch of links that will take you to all the things I do. I have a newsletter called Necessary Trouble where I write about a lot of these topics. And you see my coaching website, you see the Project Sanctus website, you'll see a lot of links to all the different things that I do. You can, all my social media stuff, you can email me as well. I meant to bring some cards with me. I think I left them upstairs. So yeah, I'm contactable. I am reachable. And again, because of the wondrous miracles of technology, I may be across an ocean, but that doesn't mean you can't reach me, right? Unless it's like 11 o'clock your time, because it's like 3 a.m. in Portugal, and I might be asleep. You know. Also, as I like to tell the people, if you have some kind of emergency in your life, you know, I know that you love your minister, but your minister should not be in your top 3 people you call if you have an emergency in your life. Okay. I mean, what am I going to do? I mean, I will hold you in prayer, right? But if you have some emergency in your life, you know, call the ambulance, call your brother, call your loved ones, I'm not saying don't call me, but I'm saying that I am part of a circle of support that you should have. And if you don't have a circle of support and I am your only circle of support, we got to work on that. And I'll help you work on that. Okay. So don't feel like because I'm across an ocean or some point that I am not going to be reachable or accessible. I am going to be, and I can be. Any other thoughts, questions, queries?
Okay. I thank you, Reverend Ogun, for coming. And
thank each of you for being here.
But in closing and being a community part of our community, we're gonna let our board president send us off.
Hold on, we have a question.
Oh.
Online.
Do you see the change? You want to read it?
So, do you see the changes happening at Unity Worldwide Ministries and what Chad has promoted going to cause a big rift? Everyone knows what Unity Worldwide Ministries is or no, right? So that's kind of like the parent organization that helps manage churches. Shad Groveland was the CEO who recently retired or was asked to retire from that position. And he had a very, I think, his approach to unity is almost going back to like a bit of a Fillmore literalism about things. And some people align with that and some people didn't. So the question is, will it cause a rift? And it probably will. And that's not a bad thing. Right. Back to that saying, can't make an omelet without breaking eggs. I think sometimes we get attached to the idea that disagreement is a bad thing. Or people having other ideas is a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. That's actually how you grow, right? Again, remember, Christianity started as a ragtag group of an itinerant preacher, 12 guys who didn't know what they were doing, bunch of women supporting them, and then them walking all over Palestine. Okay, that's how it started. And now it is one of the, if not the biggest religious movement in the world over the course of like 2,000 years. And that happened because there were a lot of rifts and fractures, right? We have, and I always have to remind people, Jesus was not a Christian and Jesus wasn't preaching Christianity either, right? That's a idea that came later. If we didn't have rifts and break aparts, unity would not be here, right? We are the result of a break. We are a result of a rift, and that's okay. So yes, if he has a different approach to these teachings, let him run with it. Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman had a different idea about these teachings, and she ran with it. You're welcome, Fred. So I'm all for breaks. I got nothing against that. This is a study group that started as a break off from was it Union, New York, from 58th Street Church. Yeah, and it was a harmonious break, and it wasn't even a break. It was like an extension, right? So yeah, I ain't got no problem with that at all. Something for everybody.
So keep it in mind that we're going to approach our new community-driven method. Our board president is going to close us out.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who are here. And thank you to our panel. And as Kwesi said, I'm the new board president for Unity in Harlem. And this has been and I'll use the ordinary word, but a wonderful time, not only in camaraderie, but in learning. And that's what this meeting is about, is learning who this reverend is and whether this reverend and this community are a perfect fit. So we welcome more questions online or and comments by phone, and you have the number. We also invite you to come on Tuesday, where we're on the Zoom number. That's 929-205-6099. And then the Zoom number 698-428-2725 with the passcode of 777-7777. Even though it's the class, you can still come and ask your questions or make a comment and absolutely join the class. And the meeting is on Tuesdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And thank you. And this will close until we have an outgoing prayer from Reverend Holder.
Reverend Ogun. Got to drop the Holder. Holder, as you know, was the ancestral slave master name, right? So when you come, I mean, in the Caribbean, you got a lot of Holders, you got a lot of Greenwiches, you got a lot of Cumberbatches. You know, anyone who's got Caribbean connections or ancestry, or even anyone really with a lot of African American ancestry, your surname was often the name you adopted by your by the master, the white plantation owner. But it's also a name that's been passed down generations through my father's line. So I'm not dismissing the name. I'm just like Ogun. So call me Reverend Ogun. Mm-hmm.
And the chakras,
yes,
and the deities.
Yes.
So that was how I thought your name was. But as I kept hearing people saying differently, then I switched it. But yeah, I first learned it as the fire god. So
Ogun, however you want to call me. Yeah. Hey, Rev. Yeah, I'll answer to that too. Something you said just there before I close this in prayer is the questions of if we are a perfect fit. I would caution you around that word perfect. I don't want to be perfect. I want this to be imperfectly amazing. Right? Y'all familiar with Brene Brown? She wrote a brilliant book called The Gift of Imperfections. Right? And too often we dismiss our imperfections as a not belonging and not fitting in, all that. There are things, like I said, if we choose to move forward together, there are things we're gonna do well, and there are things we're gonna do messily, and that's how we grow. So I welcome the mess, the messiness. I welcome the stumbling. I welcome the sometimes us rubbing each other the wrong way, and I welcome the gift of the growth that will come out of it, and welcome the union. And I welcome the effort towards that, but that word perfect sets us up a lot. But I understand what you meant. And for me, words matter. Words are very important, right? Words are powerful. Words are declarative. Words are affirmative. This is why we're in a movement. We're a movement that's made up of affirmations of words that convey intention and convey truth and convey principles. So we have to be very mindful of our words. So, when I in the future, when I invite you to rephrase things, it's not that you're saying them wrong, right? It's about how can we say them more rightly, more righteously, right? That the reflection of the truth of who we are and what we want. Don't get me preaching now, because I already preached a sermon for today. Let us wrap up in prayer. If you are able and you want to stand, take the hand of somebody beside you. Let's make this circle both physical and metaphysical. Grab. No, you're good. No, you're good.
Camera down.
It's okay. Yeah. Grab my. There we go. All right. So look around the circle for a moment. See the faces that are here, and there are people who that are not here. So bring them to mind as well. Bring to mind the people who used to be part of this community that are no longer part of this community. They're part of the reason we are here today as well. And hold come on, Leroy, we holding hands. Come on in. Bring an imaginative space to the people who have yet to be here as well. Right? We don't know what they look like. So if you need to envision like just a faceless human being, envision them as well. So everybody take a breath, close your eyes, connect with your heart space, connect with the feeling of the hand that you're holding. As we settle in this truth that each of us are a manifestation of the divine. We are in God. God is in us. God's calling. And collectively, when we come together as these individual manifestations, who we are and the expression of the divine is increased exponentially. So we give thanks for this community, all that it has been, all that it is now, all that it is yet to be, knowing that you are called to be the fullness of the Christ, the fullness of oneness, of abundance, and most importantly, of love. We are love. Let's say that together. We are love. One more time. We are love. And so it is. Amen. Ashe, go enjoy the rest of your afternoon.